Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. Napoli have beat away from home Sampdoria 2-0, and what a performance by Gattuso and his team, and especially Osimhen. Finally, I think we can all agree that he had a fantastic game. This will get some criticism off his back, and I think the team in general, even players like Fabian Ruiz, were really solid today. Great performance by everyone involved. So today you'll see quite high player ratings, which is something that we don't do very often over here. Thanks everyone for joining the stream. I'm going to read some of your comments and make sure that you're smashing that like button, guys. Remember, 1 like or 1 sub is 1 cent to the Fondazione Cannavaro Ferrara, which helps kids in Naples. There's a video about that I did on my 1000 sub special. Anyways, let's go straight into the game. Age-wise is saying Osimhen scoring really puts a smile on my face. You can tell how much it means to all of them. Guys, Osimhen scoring is something that we're going to have to get very used to. Very used to, because next season he's going to be a different animal. He's going to be like Lozano. He's going to explode, guys. So all the Osimhen haters probably, are going to have to rethink what they think about him, because next year he is going to turn into a really important asset for Napoli. Mertens instant impact says Pranav Jain. Hanno Hecking, Osimhen the GOAT. Well, I wouldn't go as far as that, but definitely a great performance by him. Let's see. Osimhen GOAT, Cleto as well. Mario Rui the GOAT. Guys, I mean, the greatest of all time is Mario Rui. That's finally someone who says it as it is. Tariq, he knows what he's talking about. Love seeing Osimhen score. Everybody does. Good performance today by Blue Line. Blue Line says, good performance today. Osimhen goal was nice. Perfect assist from Mertens. Also, Fabian goal was nice. Fabian's goal was a thing of beauty, guys. I mean, when I saw it, it made my Sunday, and I'm having a pretty good Sunday. So, that's how good that first goal was, and we'll go over it. So, Yo, some guys called you Yo. Your opinion on Lozano being sold for 80? Oof. For 80 million, I think most players in the world need to be sold. 80 is a great price for any player on this Napoli team, including Lozano. I don't think there's a team out there that is going to offer 80. I think there might be some 40-45 million offers for him. In that case, for me, it's a no. But definitely for 80, I would consider any player, no matter who you are, unless you're maybe in the top 10 in the world. Fabrizio, ciao Fabrizio, he says, hi Dom, go Napoli, fantastic Fabian and Osimhen. Exactly, those in my player ratings are the guys that scored the highest. Guys, make sure those of you who are joining, you're smashing that like button, you're subscribing if you haven't yet subscribed. I understand you guys didn't smash that like button as hard as you usually do against Juventus because we lost, but now that we won, give out some love to Napoli, give out some love to the Fondazione Cannavaro Ferrara, give out some love to me. And Lorenzo saying, beard looking crisp. I know, I'm growing this out. Just because my hair is really long right now, so I need to grow the beard out as well to match. But who knows, that might change in the coming days. Finally, we can get a haircut here in the UK next week, so who knows. Dominic is saying, that's about 4 GOATs in this Napoli team. Yeah, I mean, we didn't even talk about his eye. His eye is also the greatest player of all time. So, we've got many GOATs actually. Anyways, so I think because we're talking about player ratings so much, actually no, the player ratings, I think it only, guys, I know you guys joined this live stream to look at the player ratings. I know that's the key thing you guys want to know, but it doesn't make sense to talk about that before I do the pictures where I show what technically went on. So let's get right into that, guys. Let's go straight into what happened in the game for anyone maybe that also, didn't get to see the game. So let's go straight into it, guys. All right, right off the bat, first few minutes of the game, we've got this brilliant chance by Zielinski with Politano running down the flank. Great cross with his right foot, but you can see Osimhen's in a great position. Zielinski's in a great position. Insigne coming from the back is in a great position. Everybody's beating their man. Fantastic opening few minutes by Napoli. Zielinski gets at the end of this cross and the ball goes just wide. But it was a difficult ball to control or to take a shot on the volley with. So you can't really blame him. Actually, I think it was Lorenzo that got in behind. My bad. Now, guys, this is a really interesting tactical consideration that I want to make. So a lot of the space that we created in the first half came from the right-hand side. And it was really because you've got Giovanni Di Lorenzo, Fabian and Politano creating a triangle, and they would attract the defenders away from the offside line, and it would create the space for one of them to run in behind. So you can see here that triangle is a few meters, or for the American friends, a few feet away from where the other Sampdoria players are. Now, this is really key, right? Because actually, you want this to happen away from the offside line, because that means that if a player like Fabian or Politano or Giovanni Di Lorenzo is behind the offside line, then even if he gets a head start on one of the three players that's defending, he's not going to be offside. So if we go back, if let's say Politano starts making a run and he beats his man already before the pass is played, he actually wouldn't be offside yet. And that's key. It's a key way to make sure that 100% you're clear, and it's also a key way so that the ref could never, back in the day, but also with VAR, could never call it an offside. You don't get behind the player and then all of a sudden you're told you're offside, or you didn't time your run properly. This allows you to basically play it safer by being so far away from that line, and this is something that Napoli did extremely well. But there were some guys. Make sure you're smashing this like button. I know you guys are enjoying the video. I know you guys enjoyed the game, so smash that like button, guys. Barone04 saying Giocapoco played. Who's Giocapoco played well? I want to appreciate the assist of Mertens. We'll get there. Blue line. We'll get there. But before that, let's talk about Manolas, because I think he had a nightmare of a game. Well, not a nightmare of a game. He didn't do too bad, but he's definitely not the player that we thought he would be for Napoli. He's not the same player that Roma had a few seasons ago. So you've got this situation here where Manolas has the ball. It's quite comfortable. He's got so much time to pass the ball to Fabian. Fabian, you can see from his hand gesture, he's calling for the ball. Instead, Manolas thinks he's Lionel Messi, decides to dribble against Quagliarella. Actually, he does a good job not losing the ball in this instance, but then fast forward to half a second later, and for some reason, he picks out a Sampdoria player. The pass to Demme is quite simple. Even though it's on his left foot, there is no way you should be messing up this pass and giving it to a Sampdoria player. That leads to Sampdoria getting the ball. The ball goes to Gabbiadini. Manolas makes a really late and rash tackle on Gabbiadini right at the edge of the box and gets a yellow card. And if you look at the time of the game, this is before the 23rd minute or 24th minute. So we have one of our central defenders booked within 24 minutes. It's not ideal. There was no reason to do this. There was, his head's not really in it, I think. I'm not sure what the issue is with Manolas at Napoli, but it definitely needs some sorting out. Salvatore Di Brita saying Manolas hasn't been the man as advertised, sadly. Yep, I mean, we all thought that it was going to be this great partnership between Koulibaly and Manolas, a partnership made in heaven, this great match. And then, sometimes the reality is very different from paper. You guys have to remember that real life isn't like FIFA. So, just because someone is 87 rated and 90 rated doesn't mean they're going to make a great partnership. It's about the chemistry that they have together. There's so much that goes on in a player's head. It's and the end of the story. He's not the same player that we saw with Roma, and these 10 seconds really proved it. Games Nassim is saying, for you, who is the center back who have to play with Koulibaly? Excuse me for my bad English. No, man, don't worry about the bad English. It's not bad. It's not bad. And for me, I think that out of the players that we do have, I do think Manolas is still the one I want to go for. I saw enough mistakes from Rahmani this season, the few times that he's played, that he doesn't convince me. He doesn't have the experience. Maximovic, there's no point in playing him. He's off next season. So I would stick with Manolas, which is not great because I just said how Manolas is not really the ideal partner. This is an area that Napoli need to invest in the summer. We need a center mid to replace Bakayoko, Lotbotka, potentially Fabian if he leaves. And we need a quality center back next to Koulibaly, as well as obviously, we need a left back. So these three positions here. But let's go on to the goal. And this is where it starts, guys. The goal starts from Osimhen. I'm talking about the first goal, the one in the first half by Fabian Ruiz. It starts up with Osimhen. If you see the replay of the goal, it's Osimhen pressing first the Sampdoria midfield, then the Sampdoria center backs, then the Sampdoria goalkeeper. Audero has no choice but to launch the ball forward. The ball goes to Mario Rui, and immediately Mario Rui has three really good options for him. So he recovers the ball, he can pass it to Insigne, he can pass it to Demme, or he can pass it, if he wants to be a bit more brave, to Zielinski in between the lines. I think what he does is that he passes it he passes it to either Demme or Insigne. Napoli work really well. Those three, Demme, Insigne, Zielinski, they work really well. If you can kind of see how it creates a triangle where they've got a sort of 2 versus 3 situation. They pass the ball around, and it goes to, finally, Demme. And Zielinski is really good. Zielinski and Fabian are really good at positioning themselves in between the lines. We talked about how we didn't do that enough against Juventus. We talked about how Juventus did that against Napoli. Napoli against Sampdoria, they did it successfully this time. Zielinski and Fabian put themselves in between the two lines. Demme passed it to Fabian, Fabian to Zielinski, Zielinski to Osimhen. Osimhen flicks it back to Zielinski. Zielinski passes the ball forward to Fabian. Everything is one-touch football. And then Fabian, still remaining in between the lines, scores a worldie of a goal to beat Audero. Maybe the goalkeeper's position was a bit off, but honestly, I mean, who can blame him? If I was on that field, I'd have... I'd bring up a stool and some popcorns and just watch the guys pass the ball around. I wouldn't be thinking about my positioning. So, brilliant stuff by Napoli. A joy to watch, and it all starts with Osimhen pressing Sampdoria and making sure that we recover the ball. Let's read some of the comments, guys, because I've been speaking for quite a while. Guys, make sure you're smashing that like button. There's about half of you right now that still haven't smashed that. Pick the good side. Pick the side that smashes the like button. They say that if you smash the like button, Napoli gets into the Champions League, so make sure you do that. It's just a rumor, but, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you, guys? No, seriously, guys, 1 like and 1 sub. I do donate money to a charity that you guys know about, so make sure you are doing that. Let's see some of the comments, guys. Antonio Tonti, viva Napoli. Salvatore Di Brita, do we lose anyone next game to yellow card accumulation? Yes, we lose Lozano, unfortunately. Shmuel is saying, interesting thing to consider, how much goals are scored because of pure individual talent and how much are scored from tactical advantage over the opponent. I think today's goals, they both came from very thought out goals and not down to individual talent. But even if they do come from individual talent, it's not black and white. It's the team has tactics that allow individual talents to flourish. Let's call it like that, you know. They go hand in hand. There's no team that just wins purely off tactics or purely off individual talents. They go hand in hand. The tactics align themselves with what talent you have on the field. Vesavius, thoughts on Ospina? I can't tell if he's amazing. He goes back and forth every 2 minutes, and he can be both in the same match. I prefer Meret. I like Ospina. He's a good goalkeeper. I don't think he's a bad goalkeeper. I just think that every single game, guys, every single game, he's always on the ground. 2-3 minutes on the ground, potentially getting injured. He's really fragile. I don't feel comfortable having Ospina on the field, just for purely a thing that you don't know if he's going to finish the game. And we'll see that. I have slides about Ospina in today's game, and we'll see some of, the mistakes that he's made. Tariq is saying, Mertens, I can see him now in a number 10. Zielinski in bad shape today. Osimhen good, but not great. They must feed him more. I'm not sure I agree with those statements. I think that actually Mertens played great, yes, but so did Zielinski. I mean, you could see his involvement in the goal that I just described here. He went back and defended. He intercepted some really, really dangerous situations that Sampdoria was getting themselves into. And I do think that, Osimhen was fantastic today. He was very much involved with Napoli, and we'll see more situations of that. Anthony Navarro, what's up, guys? Forza Napoli, massive win after that Juve loss. Manolas, I agree, hasn't been what we expected, but it's only recently, to me, I feel, yes, he hasn't been consistent with KK, but they have had some great performances. Yeah, I mean, our defense in general has been all over the place. We are a team that have now got 12 clean sheets. I think that's the best in the league. Maybe Inter has the same. So we're 12 clean sheets out of 30 games is fantastic. Fantastic. When they do have a bad game, it tends to be just on the extreme end of a spectrum. There is just no in-between. And that's my problem. The inconsistency of Napoli and with players like Manolas, where they just switch off at times. But luckily today, it didn't cost us any points. Let's see what else you guys saying. Vesavius is saying, by the way, we miss you in the Discord, Napoli Talk. Guys, make sure you check out the links in the description, because there's a link to the Discord. It's a great community where most of the people on this chat that love Napoli are on there as well. Join it if you haven't yet joined it. I can't keep up with it. I'm extremely sad about that, because whenever I do get a few moments to go in there, then I love doing it. But unfortunately, making the videos and work and a bunch of other stuff kind of get in the way. But I do pop in every once in a while, guys, into the Discord. But it's a fantastic community. I love it. Visavis is saying, if you were the coach and had only 3 subs, would Ospina be worth the risk? Absolutely not. That's the other thing. If I had only 3 subs, I wouldn't play Ospina. I just wouldn't. Ospina is made of glass, and he holds back the growth and development of Meret. Salvatore Di Brita saying, exactly. That's the other point. You've got an option on the bench, which is fantastic. You've got Meret, and Napoli need to preserve that asset that they have, because Meret, if he had been playing consistently over the last 2 years, I think he could have been easily Italy's second goalkeeper, easily, potentially fighting with Donnarumma for that spot, because I remember his first 6 months when he was playing consistently with Ancelotti, he was fantastic for us. But that alternating with Ospina has definitely stunted his growth. Let's see what else we are saying. If you're asking how to join the Discord, there's a link in the description, guys. So let's move on with the game. Napoli in the first half got into great positions, and we had some great chances. We should have got the second goal much sooner. This was a chance in the first half where Di Lorenzo has acres of space on the right. And we talked about how Napoli managed to create space on the right. And then he crosses the ball in. And look, you've got Insigne, Zielinski, and Politano all free to receive the ball. And that's not by coincidence. There's great movement that goes on behind the scenes for that to happen. And it's just unfortunate that the ball lands on Politano's right foot, and so it goes wide, because we all know that Politano is a very left-footed player. In the second half, again, you've got great chances, especially on the counter-attack, and especially, as we see again here, in between the lines, you've got Fabian getting into extremely good positions, a great pass, a through ball to Zielinski. And before I go on to what happens at the end of this action, Fabian has been playing amazing, just amazing. He's, ever since he's come back from his COVID situation, he's been a totally different player, and he's getting into in between the lines. He's following the play, intercepting a lot of passes. So, he's been, I think, the reason. Him and Demme in midfield have been the reason why Napoli have been getting so many points. We've basically only dropped points against Juventus in the last month and a half. So I just want to point that out, because a lot of people, including myself, were extremely tough on Fabian at the start of the season. Anyways, Fabian gives the ball to Zielinski. Zielinski takes a shot, takes a bit too long, and then he gets a shot saved by Odero. Oh, Daniel Bowen, €5. Thank you so much for that donation. Always kind. I know you said last week to make a video comparing Napoli, their remaining games with the other teams. I am starting to prepare that video. I think I'll drop that video, guys, on Tuesday or Wednesday, one of the two. So thanks for the suggestion, Daniel, and let's see what you say. Hi, Dom here. Can you analyze the last two games for Lozano? Performance has been sufficient, if not simply his fitness. He played well for Mexico. Lozano has played well for Mexico. He got the winning goal in his international game, but he is coming back from an injury. I wouldn't look too much into it. It's also tough on him because Politano, in the meantime, has been playing extremely well. So there might be an aspect where he fears that... he's not fearing, but he's playing with a bit of anxiety that he might have lost his starting 11 spot, which maybe he has, considering recent performances. I don't think we need to make a big deal out of it. I think Lozano, he's got 8 games to bounce back. I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll get a few more assists and goals. Unfortunately, he misses the game against Inter because of a stupid yellow card that he got. But I think Gattuso knows what to do with Lozano. And talking about Osimhen, I think someone earlier in the chat said he wasn't very much involved or didn't play great. He was very much involved. This is another piece of great action by Napoli. One-touch football, fast passing. Osimhen to Insigne to Osimhen. Triangle, great triangle over there. And then Osimhen opens the play up to Fabian. That again, Fabian coming in from the midfield, supporting the Napoli forwards, and takes a shot. Odero saves it, and he pushes it wide. And this is where I think it could have easily been 2-0 for Napoli. Look at Insigne's run. We'll get into this run in more detail, actually. You're thinking, what's wrong with his run? Look at the curve that I drew. Insigne doesn't attack the ball straight on. He widens himself so that he can get to the ball on his right foot to curl a shot in. This allows Aldeiro to make the save on the ground and get back up in time. Instead, Insigne, what he should have done is not take the run wide. Instead, he should have gone straight for the ball. And then, yes, it would have probably been on his left foot. But it would have been on his left foot with the goalkeeper still on the ground, and it should have been an easy goal. But Insigne's lack of confidence with his left foot actually cost us a goal here, in my opinion. So, I like to analyze games tactically. I like to analyze games also technically. I think this was a big technical mistake by Insigne, where he didn't trust his left foot enough. Let's see what some of you guys are saying in the chat. Big Man Dylan saying Mairo and Di Lorenzo are our standard backs for me now. Yep, I think that's definitely our best two fullbacks at the moment. And if Hizai really needs to play, I prefer him on the right, even though he had a good game on the left against Milan. So, he had a bad game against Juve, but a good game against Milan. So, yeah. But whatever. 8 more games, and then Hizai's probably not an issue anymore for Napoli fans. He's so inconsistent. Sal is saying, recently Politano has played well, but I still think Lozano is our top choice. Right wing, more creative, more explosive, and draws more fouls. Yeah, I mean, if I were at a final and everyone was in their best form possible, I would definitely start with Lozano. However, Politano and Lozano are in very different state of forms at the moment. And in this moment, I think Politano's just a bit more in tune with the rest of the team. Maybe his fitness is also much better since he's not come back from a recent injury like Lozano has. But as I said, I think by the end of the season, Lozano will assert his position again into the Napoli team. I think he's got enough quality, and Gattuso knows what to do with him, that you'll see Lozano start many games towards the end. Politano is good but can dribble too much and tends to be predictable. I think he's improving that though. I think he's definitely improving that. He's using his right foot, going wide instead of cutting in. And to be honest, I really like how he plays with Di Lorenzo and Fabian. The fact that Politano. Let's go back. Let's go back a few slides, guys. Let's go back, because this needs to be analyzed. The fact that, if we look at this picture here, the fact that Politano is left-footed, all right, it allows him to play better with Di Lorenzo and Fabian. Because the way he opens up his body naturally tends to allow himself to look towards the inside because he's left-footed. So he's going to look for options such as Di Lorenzo and Fabian. Lozano, instead, he's a player that likes to, because he's right-footed, he doesn't want to open himself up like that. He doesn't want to look to the inside. Lozano wants to go wide. So his body will be turned differently. He's going to try to go down the wing. That closes the option for him to play with Di Lorenzo. Do you guys see that? It's the small details, but having the inverted winger allows you to play with your midfield and fullback better than if you are someone that likes to hog the touchline. Also, Lozano trying to hog the touchline doesn't allow Di Lorenzo to make the overlapping run because there's no space for an overlapping run. Having said that, Lozano is great when he attacks the space. He's great at drawing in a foul. He's great at everything that he does and beats his man. And, it's nice to have the two different options. But what I'm saying is there's going to be some games where you want that one-against-one quality that Lozano has. Other games, you want to play maybe a bit more in between the lines, and so then you want to pick Politano. So it depends. And I think Gattuso's, he's spoiled for choice. But, that's how I see it. I think they're both great. I don't have any issues with one starting over the other. I think it's one position that I just let Gattuso do whatever he wants over there. So we were at this spot here with Insigne, I think, messing up this pass. And then we get to the Ospina situation. So he makes a save on Gabbiadini, gets hurt, as always, and he's down a few minutes, all right? The medics come on, they treat him, he's limping, he's not great, and it's a Sampdoria corner. Now, this is where it's only Ospina that can say, it's not Gattuso's fault that Ospina stays on the field. Ospina, or any player, needs to say whether they can continue or whether they can't continue. The coach, it's not a tactical or technical decision that a coach needs to make. It's, if the player says he's doing fine and he's capable of playing, then the coach should keep him on. Ospina stays on. He tells everyone that he's fine and positions himself really badly. I don't have the photo of his positioning for the corner, but he positions himself really, really badly for this corner. And what ends up happening is he gets beat to the ball by the Sampdoria player, right? He gets beat to the ball. He's nowhere near it. Look at his jump. When the Sampdoria player gets his head on the ball, Ospina, because of his injury, is not able to even lift his foot off the ground. He's not able to make a jump. And he's late and out of position, and luckily he gets elbowed in the face by Keita. Because Sampdoria score from this, but it gets ruled out because of this foul. But if Keita wasn't there, Ospina still wouldn't have got to the ball. And it would have been 1-1, and it would have compromised our whole game. So Ospina, I think, needed to be honest, and he needed to say that, look, I'm not in a position to I'm not in a position to play. And Napoli, that was a big scare, but we continue, we hustle, we go on, and we have a great chance with Mertens, pulls it wide, and then finally Mertens, towards the end, 86th minute, great impact on the game, recovers the ball in that number 10 position, and he sets Osimhen free. Great through ball, and Osimhen scores. A classic Osimhen goal. But what I'd like to say here is, and this takes me to the player ratings, what I'd like to say here is, congratulations to Gattuso. Congratulations, because he took a risk. We were winning 1-0, and he didn't replace Mertens with Osimhen, keeping Zielinski on the field with, an extra midfielder, essentially. No. He kept Osimhen on the field and put Mertens instead of Zielinski. Why? Because he knows that sometimes the best form of defense is attack and more goals. Especially when in the final minutes, Sampdoria are going to try to bring more players forward. That's going to create a lot of space for Osimhen to run in behind. And we got rewarded by that. Gattuso got rewarded by that. It's a risky move, but it paid off. And I'm sure, if we had tied the game 1-1, everybody would have been saying how stupid that would have been from Gattuso. Or why did you keep Osimhen when you could have put in an extra midfielder? This time it worked out, and credit to Gattuso on this one. And so that takes me to the player ratings, guys. But before I do that, let me read some of your recent comments. ID Beats is saying, I sense blood versus Inter. We can win against them. Inter have gone, I'll just say this, Inter have gone 11 games unbeaten. Statistically speaking, 12 is hard. That's how I'll phrase it. Statistically speaking, 12 is hard. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying 12 wins in a row is quite difficult. Shmuel M is saying Di Lorenzo was offensively great against Crotone, and he showed that again today, slowly becoming a great all-round right back. Yeah, he's getting into great spaces, and for me, I think he has his better games when Politano plays, because he can only really get into those spaces when Politano cuts in. So it goes hand in hand. Big man Dylan, Atalanta is playing against Juve next week, and if they lose, it's going to give Napoli a boost against Inter, hopefully. Yeah, as I said, my next video, I'll be reviewing the different teams who they play against in the next 8 games. We'll see what Atalanta do tonight. They play away from home against Fiorentina. That's not an easy game. But I've already, in my mind, I already have where Milan, Juve, and Atalanta are gonna finish in the league in terms of points. And let's just say I don't think Atalanta is our biggest rival. I think there's another team that's much more vulnerable, and we'll cover that on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know. This week, I'll find some time for a video. Sal or ID Beats, I don't think he is at fault here in Napoli Talk because he was body checked by Keita Balde. No, he is, because his starting position was horrible. Horrible. I don't have the picture of his starting position, but it was horrible. He was basically at the second post for some reason, and Sampdoria scored at the first post, and he was not able. By the time he got elbowed, Sampdoria already had the ball in the back of the net, pretty much. So the elbow was just a lucky coincidence, and it saved Napoli. But even without Keita Balde, Ospina would have never got to that ball. It was so out of position. And Vesavius in the chat is saying that he was 1 meter behind the player who headed it. He got lucky. And all that. Frederick Camilo is saying, no, the coach should have taken him out. There are a reason that you have medics when you play. They clearly said that Ospina could continue, otherwise they would not risk to play him. Yeah, in my opinion, when it's a matter of injury, I think it's the player and the medics that decide, not the coach. Because obviously the coach, if the medics are saying he can play, if the player is saying he can play, why would the coach waste a substitution for no reason? He needs to be able to trust his medics and players, so it's up to them to be trustworthy people. Otherwise, we'd be substituting everyone that falls down on the ground randomly and gets treatment, but we know that's not the case. We see players get treatment and carry on and have great games. Yeah, there's a bit of a discussion between ID and Vesavius about Ospina. As I said, for me, I agree with Vesavius. He was 2 meters away from his starting position, was about 2 meters off where it should be. He was never going to get to the ball. He got lucky. He got very, very lucky that he got body checked or elbowed in the face. Anyways, player ratings. So let's start with Ospina. Let's go from the bottom up. Ospina gets a 6. And that's because he made some good saves. So, it could have been a 6.5 because clean sheet, a few good saves. But then this whole situation where he got lucky kind of brings him back down to a pretty neutral performance for me. Another player that had, let's call it a neutral performance, because I'm feeling generous today, is Manolas. He had that howler in the first half. That I went over, how he messed up the pass, or he tried to dribble, messed up a pass, and then got a yellow, and stayed 70 minutes with a yellow. Had a howler, but then I think he kept Gabbiadini and Quagliarella quiet. Those two were the worst on the field today. Everybody else, I think, had a very good game. Everyone participated, everyone defended, everyone attacked, great passing. There were some standout performances. Koulibaly in defense, I think it was great. And he was instrumental in the start of the second half in closing down some Sampdoria attacks. Demme was fantastic in recovering the ball in midfield. The first goal started with him receiving the ball, passing it to Fabian. It was just great stuff. He was all over the field. Then Zielinski had a great game in my opinion as well, similar to Demme, all over the field, in defense, in attack. He had a few chances that I think he should have scored. Realistically, Zielinski should have had a goal, but so maybe someone would say, oh, that's a bit high on Zielinski. But I don't know. I just think he's so instrumental. I think he's so important in how Napoli plays. So important that even if he doesn't score, even if he misses chances, the team would be nowhere without him. Mertens came on and he had a fantastic game. Recovered the ball for the second goal. Played it for Osimhen. Great stuff by Mertens. And then we have the two standout players, Fabian and Osimhen. Osimhen, instrumental in the first goal with his pressing, with his one-touch passing to Zielinski, and in general was making lots of great runs throughout the game, putting himself in the right positions against the Sampdoria back line, keeping them. He kept them where he wanted them. They didn't keep Osimhen in a specific area. He was moving that line where he wanted it to be. And that was clear in the second goal. 87th minute, having the legs to sprint past your player, score a goal, beat the goalkeeper. Great stuff. Great stuff by Osimhen, building on from a very, very good performance against Juventus. And Fabian was monumental, Fabian today. Guys, he is the Fabian that if we had him at the start of the season, we wouldn't even be worrying about whether we're top 4 or not top 4. We'd be so clearly in the top 4. So clearly. Because he's the guy that follows through when we attack. He's the extra man going forward. The guy that can be that extra number 10 in between the lines. So not leaving Zielinski alone. Because Zielinski can play as a number 10, but if he's only got Osimhen as an option, then you're in trouble. But when you have Osimhen and Fabian, all of a sudden you have a triangle, as we saw in the first goal. But that takes Fabian running in from a defensive situation, running in and putting himself in between the lines, making the right shots, making the right passes, and that's what he did today. So monumental Fabian. He needs to play more like this, and if he does, I'm sure Napoli will finish off the season very, very strongly. He's starting to play like this because Napoli only have games once a week. So maybe he needed a bit more rest at the start of the season. That's maybe his, fitness is maybe his weakness, recovery, fitness, all that. But when he plays once a week, he is a fantastic, fantastic player, and it's great. It's great to see him like that. So I want to highlight that because I was tough on him at the start of the season. Fabrizio saying, good Demme and Zielinski. Our midfield is okay. Yeah, Zielinski, Demme, Fabian, the whole spine from Koulibaly to Osimhen, that whole central area was great. And there's no coincidence that our first goal came from a very central position. I wanted him to do so well, but he arrived, but he has been really poor. Talking about Manolas, ID Beats. He's been good and bad. Some really poor performances and some really... I don't think he's ever had a great performance. That's the issue with Manolas. He's always, been okay at times. He's either been okay or bad. Tariq is saying Di Lorenzo 6.5. I wanted 6.5 is not bad. 6 is average. 6.5 is slightly over average. I think Di Lorenzo, if he were to get a 7, it would be because he made an assist. I still think that Di Lorenzo, he can play a great game, but as a winger, or as a fullback, sorry, I want to see him assist more, get into more dangerous. Well, I mean, it's not really his fault if Politano, doesn't score, but I'd like Di Lorenzo to have performances like Theo Hernandez has for Milan. Is what I'm trying to say. If he doesn't do that, then I don't think he deserves more than a 6.5. Against Crotone, he scored a great goal. And if I had made a video against Crotone, I would have given him a 7.5 for a goal. A 7 for an assist. But if you end the game without an assist, I think 6.5, it's just, you played slightly better than average. I don't see a problem with that. IDB saying Zielinski lacked composure, but that differentiates world-class players from great players. He was good, but not that extra bit of composure. Yeah, Zielinski he needs a bit of that. You're right. He's very good in between the lines. He's very good at beating his man, and then sometimes when it really matters, that final shot, sometimes he hesitates or doesn't have the composure. He still isn't at the level that De Bruyne is, Hamsik. He's not at that level, but he's a fantastic player, and he's instrumental for Napoli. And he's lucky that he's got players around him that can, finish the job off when he can't. So, yeah, I mean, 7 is, I think, fair for him. Let's see. ID Beats is saying, Osimhen will never justify his 70 million price tag based on the season, but he might come pretty close next season, especially if he stays fit. Yeah, 100%. Osimhen, if he stays fit, shoulder back to normal, COVID-free, all that sort of stuff, he'll perform. He missed... Guys, Osimhen's only played about 19 games, so he's missed half the season. No, maybe even less than 19 games. Next season will be different. His stats will be better. His team chemistry will be better. His physique, because he was a bit fragile at the start. He's getting tougher to play against now. You saw that against Juventus. They had to really tackle him to the ground. Before, he was maybe being pushed around a bit too easily than what he does now. He'll get there, and I think he'll justify the price tag. And I think if Napoli were to resell him in a few years' time, they'd get pretty close to that price yet again, if not higher, depending on his trajectory. If he's someone that can get 25 goals a season, 20 goals a season, there'll be clubs that would try to buy him for that price again. Let's see. Frederick is saying maybe Ospina is not perfect, but he saves what there is to save. That's a good point. Except he didn't save the shot that went in today. He got lucky. He got very lucky that they called it offside. But no, he's a great keeper, guys. I mean, I never said he's a bad keeper. I just said he's fragile. And when you have someone like Meret, who's a young guy on the bench, he can develop into a better goalkeeper than Ospina. Why not use that? Because if you keep playing Ospina, you're going to have to sell Meret. It's not fair on Meret to stay on the bench, a player of his quality. So it just doesn't make sense for me, because we have potentially the goalkeeper for the next 10 years and we're not using him. And instead we might be forced to sell him if the next coach, or if Gattuso stays, if Gattuso continues to pick Ospina for next season. Anyways, guys, moving on to the final portion of our live. Thanks again for everyone joining. Make sure you are smashing that like button. I see that you are. I just want to talk about the stats and the table. So 20 shots, guys. 20 shots, 57% possession. And this is what I love to see, 80% pass accuracy. I love that. I love that because it was showing that we try. When you've got such high possession and 20 shots, and you see a pass accuracy of 80%. What this means to me is that we didn't play it safe today. We tried to go vertical. We tried to do one touch football, one-time passes. I like that. Maybe it could have been a bit higher. There were a few misplaced passes, but for me, having 57% possession and 90% pass accuracy means you played at the back, horizontal the whole time. So I like to see that on, ideally between 82 and 85. 80 is maybe a bit low, but you can see how Napoli try to play the game. And 5 offsides. We really tried to get in behind Sampdoria. If you remember the live I did against Juventus, I pointed out that there were 0 offsides for Napoli, even though we had Osimhen playing for most of the second half. And I said, that's a red flag. We didn't try enough. This time we got 5 offsides. Boom, you tried. You tried to get in behind. You tried something. And that's what I want to see. A team that tries. A team that's not playing around Manolas and Koulibaly, but a team that's trying to go vertical. Maybe a bit too greedy, but I'd rather see that. So, just by looking at the stats, I know that Napoli had a fantastic game. Let's look at the table. And I'll do a video about this specifically during the week. I said I will. Napoli right now sit 4th. Atalanta, Lazio, Roma are 1 game behind. Now, Lazio, they managed to win on the 92nd minute with Milinkovic-Savic. So, that's typical Lazio. With a last-minute win, you got to hand it to them. Their character is crazy. Atalanta play Fiorentina, which sit 15th tonight. A tough game because Fiorentina at home will want 3 points to just make sure that they are fully safe coming into the last 8 games of the season. 3 points or even a point, I think, will give Fiorentina a lot of security. And I think they'll be looking at this game and thinking, let's try. Everyone's going to think we're going to lose against Atalanta. No pressure. Let's go out and attack them. So who knows? Who knows what happens tonight with Atalanta? Then probably Atalanta's going to win 5-0 and I'm going to look like a fool. But, I think something could happen. I think maybe something could happen. Anyways, Napoli have won most of our last few games, and it gets very interesting. We've got Inter and Lazio at home next. After that, guys, it's all games that on paper we should be winning. So this is going to be an interesting few weeks, an interesting month for Napoli. And yeah, once we get past April, then if we're still, I'll just say this, if we're still 2 or 3 points within touching distance of Champions League spot, then maybe there's still a good possibility for us. That's all I'll say. There's a separate video coming on this, guys, later. And yeah, interesting next game against Inter. Inter are miles ahead of everybody else. They've got the Scudetto basically all but wrapped up. And yeah, 12 games or 11 games undefeated. 11 wins, actually, I think. That's going to be interesting as well. Statistically speaking, as I said, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for Inter to keep that going, but we'll see. I don't want to jinx it too much. I don't want to jinx it. ID Beats is already saying, don't jinx it, Napoli Talk. Okay, I'll shut up. I said nothing. I never said we were going to win. I never said we were going to lose. I never said we were going to tie. I never said anything. I'm just talking numbers. All right. I'll take 2 or 3 more comments and then I'll wrap this up, guys, because the weather's not that bad actually outside. So yeah, I'll be looking to get out of the house. Anyways, IDBs is saying, this is where I question Meret the most. Ospina can be seen shouting at his defenders, whereas Meret doesn't really do that because our defense looks more error prone with Meret. That's true. Ospina is a bit more of a commander, and when things got really tough for Napoli, when we were in a really tough spot and defensively we were letting in, when defensively we were making a lot of errors, Gattuso stuck with Ospina because Ospina is able to just give a bit more sense of confidence to the team. That I agree. But one guy's 30 and one guy's 20, 23, 22, 24. We got to give Meret the opportunity to evolve into that. It's not like he doesn't have that quality. He was developing it, and then we stunted that. Vesavis is saying, remember how for Meret was last year compared to this year? That's what happens when a young goalkeeper doesn't play. Instead of pay, you wrote pay. He needs a coach that shows confidence in him. Yeah, and Meret is already a goalkeeper with a lot of self-confidence. And when he had a coach that showed him confidence, like Ancelotti, he was great. He saved us so many times under Ancelotti. Like, so many. I wasn't making videos at that time, but I think my videos would just be, if I were to make highlight videos of what happened in the game, they would just be Meret save, Meret save, Meret save, Napoli concede a goal, Meret save, Meret save. So, yeah, Meret was playing great for us when he was playing regularly. Anyways. Guys, I think I'll wrap this up. The video's getting into an hour long. I'll try to smash, for anyone that hasn't yet smashed the like button, smash that like button. Check out the links in the description below. And yeah, I'll try to make a video sometime this week if I find the time. I'm sure I will. And as always, guys, great win. We won against Sampdoria 2-0 away from home. That's going to settle us for the week to come against Inter. And yeah, guys, as always, Forza Napoli sempre.